Welcome to QueerTWENTY by Ego Monk. QueerTWENTY is the annual celebration of 20 queer Indians who have made a mark in the fields of business, society, and technology. Today we are joined by environmentalist, Nari Shakti Purashkar awardee, and stand-up comedian Vasu Primlani. Thank you for joining us, Vasu.
Pleasure.
So, the first question, the first question that I want to know is: every time we hear your name, people associate you as a stand-up artist, as a stand-up comedian, also an environmentalist, of course. But stand-up comedy is something that strikes the person the first time they hear your name. So, where, according to you, does comedy stand as a form of art today?
Comedy has always been the most powerful form of communication. In terms of an art, it has taken a downswing in India lately, but I do consider comedy to be the litmus test of democracy.
In your case, of course, your comedy is layered it's layered with a lot of messages. There are messages about human rights, there are messages about sexual violence. So when you're writing a script, what goes on in your mind? Like, what do you want to focus on through your art form?
As an artist, I talk about things that are important to me. So the environment is important to me. Human rights issues are important to me. Women's rights are important to me. So I make sure that I convert those messages into jokes and perform those.
And you're also an environmentalist. You're also a professor. You're a somatic therapist. So it's a lot of roles that you have to balance. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so to the naked eye, as it were, it looks like different things, but everything I do is about healing. It's about healing others, healing myself, or healing the planet. So when we're doing stand-up comedy, we are really preventative doctors. You can come to us and you could be, in despair, you could be in depression. I remember once an audience member came up to me and said, "Thank you, my best friend came to your show and you made his last few days on earth happy," because he had a terminal illness. And we are quite aware of the kind of responsibility we have is, you can come to us in whatever state and we will give you hope again.
One of the issues is in your comedy, in the scripts that you have written, they range from a lot of things. And sometimes it's a take on chauvinistic chivalry in a very comic manner, like probably a Delhi men joke. When that happened, the difference between a Delhi man and a Bombay men joke. Sometimes it's about gender equality. So on those lines, do you see progress being made in society in terms of accepting gender as a free choice and not a biological construct?
I think it's quite removed from the mainstream media in India right now, gender as a construct. Right now, when we think of men, India still thinks of Salman Khan. When you think of women, you'll probably think of, Deepika Padukone or any of those actresses, very ultra femme women. So there is a very strong gender dichotomy in India that's based on biology. So as a society, India probably has about 70 more years of growth if it follows the correct trajectory of growth.
Over the years, we've come a long way, but if you go a few decades back, the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s, words like gay or homosexual or, terms associated with the gender, an alternate form of gender that doesn't fall into these set categories, basically, it was represented in a very derogatory format, in a very comical way that is not something that showed equality. So, do you think we've come out of that bias in modern India today?
Well, it depends, really. If you're talking about Bombay, most likely the answer is yes. With the Bollywood industry, and there's a lot of gender and sexual fluidity in Bollywood. But the rest of India, perhaps not so much. There are lots of films that are very progressive and queer-themed today. But it's one thing to watch it on the screen, and it's another thing to find out your brother's gay, for instance. That said, there was an old film starring Smita Patil, where she was the warden of a women's shelter. And even then, they had spoken about a lesbian relationship among the women. And it was not looked upon negatively. In fact, Smita Patil had stood up to protect those two, kind of. So the messaging has been there. I think the rest of India, say for instance, if I was to talk to you about, say, a village in Haryana, would you say that they're along the same social spectrum as, say, a metropolitan city like Mumbai is, right? So there is a vast disparity among the people of India.
And how do you think this disparity can be gotten over?
It's not just messaging. Communication is really three things. One is the communicator, second is the message, and the third is the person that's most frequently forgotten is the person who receives the message. Now, you can have an excellent communicator, you can have somebody who's very, very famous, you can have an excellent message, but they will all be lost up on this person if they don't wish to change, if they don't wish to listen to any opinion that's different from their own. And you will find, in as much as that's true, you have a strong patriarchal mindset, then they don't want to listen to anything other than what they have been told themselves, as is tradition or what have you. So until there is a willingness to change from the receiver's end, you can do whatever you want. The message will not be received.
And like, if you had to give a message on those lines, how would you do it, or what would the message be?
It can be done. It's not that it can't be. Like, I'll give you the example of Dangal, the film that Amir Khan made. So here they're talking about female wrestlers, and Haryana itself has laughed at the concept. And yet, from Haryana came these two incredible female wrestlers. And now Haryana is proud of its female wrestlers, right? So India has moved from, say, subscribing to the Sati Pratha to saying the Sati Pratha is illegal, right? Now, in India, there are many things that are against the law but practiced widely. So until the message comes to the masses and the masses adopt them as good and positive and honorable. So when a message is communicated with these three vectors, then it will probably be accepted, but it also has to be accepted from within the community, from somebody who's well respected. As you see the father, the wrestler, he was given a pushback constantly. He was ridiculed. People laughed at him. People spoke against him behind his back. And he did not back down. And he was from within the community. And until he proved his mettle and his daughter's mettle, he was not respected in that sense. Right? So this message, while it comes from outside, has to be ratified from somebody within the community who is well respected, who will prove their worth. So it's a bit of a dual, message, dual subject.
For a person identifying as queer, it's not easy to really come to terms with their gender identity themselves because of the fear of ostracization, societal pressure, peer pressure. So in your case, did you have a support system that helped you come out?
So growing up, my father actually raised me as his son, right? So I had buy-in in the family. My mother was probably not very comfortable with that. But I had that in my family. Now, if I came from a family where I did not get that support from my friends, then I would probably feel like I'm crazy. So you do have to have that validation, and you have to have people who love you for who you are, not how you dress or what you look like, but judge you for your heart and for if you're a good person, on the basis of your goodness, or on the basis of your competence, or on the basis of your intelligence, or what have you. It's actually, I mean, I have an incredible, not just support system. Every single person in my life is there because they love and honor and support me. And if they don't, then they're not in my life. Simple as that. So every single person, every teacher, every relative, every cousin, every friend supports me 100%. A lot of women and men I know do not operate from gender. They don't say, hi, I'm a guy, or hi, I'm a woman, which is what usually a lot of Indians end up doing. But they say, hi, I'm Paul, or hi, I'm Gary, or whatever, hi, I'm Rachna. I am the person. They connect with the heart directly. So my people don't operate out of gender, and the people who try to box them into gender don't belong in our circle, because they're missing the forest for the trees. They're missing who we are. How to get out of that? It's just in the way you raise your children. You know, who says that boys can't wear frocks, and who says that girls can't wear shorts or pants? I mean, if I had a son, believe you me, he's going to learn how to knit. He's going to learn how to cook. He's going to learn how to give massages and press people's feet. He's going to learn crocheting, painting, everything. You know, he doesn't have to learn fighting. I'll do the fighting. Leave the fighting to me.
With your comedy, you reach out to a lot of people, and you're being able to send in the messages, whether it's for the environment or human rights for that matter. Do you see yourself as a role model for people?
No, I'm just being who I am. I have no choice in that. I have to be the best version of who I am. If that serves someone, well and good. If it doesn't, well and good. It doesn't matter. I mean, my responsibility is to myself.